So one fine day, I just decided that I have had enough, and I left my job,
Oh, wow.
which was a very cushy and very well paying job. I just from very well paying to I came to zero. Nutrition is mostly also to do with the prevention. All
Okay.
right? It is not only about कि अभी हमको डायबिटीज़ हो गया, अभी हमको हार्ट डिजीज़ हो गया, अभी हम फॉलो करेंगे न्यूट्रिशन. She was eating healthy, but she was eating too much of healthy.
Oh,
Okay, so they didn't know how to manage the calories over there. So if you have to lose body fat very continuously, you can lose only about say about half a kg in a week. Glycemic index is the ability of a food to raise the blood sugars.
okay.
Because it takes about 20 minutes for the gut to send the message after
Oh.
you start eating. So
Okay.
that's why that saying is there, eat your foods
Slowly.
slowly. But what people do not do, even the educated people do not do, is read labels. The NIH, the National Institute of Health, suggests that you should, after the age of 30, you should check your diabetes. The money will come once your clients start to trust you. 80% of the time, if you are following a good diet, 20% of the time you can enjoy your life also.
Hi all, welcome to the Strategic Pulse. I'm your host Sudarshan Praveen. Today we have Geeta Shenoy as our podcast guest. She's a dietitian and a nutritionist with over 30 years of work experience. In fact, I have personally gone to her and I've lost over 10 kgs in a period of 6 months. In this episode, we will deep dive into the various types of nutrition, information surrounding it and simplified in simple terms. Also various supplements and if they are required to be taken. Weight loss drugs like Ozempic and Mounjaro and if they're really safe and if one needs to take them. In this episode, we will discuss a lot more about diets and information surrounding it. Stay tuned and watch the entire episode. Thank you. Hi ma'am, welcome to the Strategic Pulse. You have been a nutritionist for over 30 years. So can you share about how it all started?
Thank you, Sudarshan, for inviting me today. And it's really my pleasure to share some insights with you today. And yes, it has been a long journey. I have been now, you can say, almost 3.5 decades. I
Wow.
have been working now without break, you can say,
Wow.
continuously for 35 years now. And it has been a really a very tumultuous journey, ups and downs it had, and but I'm very happy at where the position I have reached today. And it started very humbly. Like I've graduated I have done my post graduation degree from SNDT and then post graduation in dietetics. To tell you really, nobody in my family had any inkling what I am doing with my career, because at that time the dietitian concept was very new, and people only knew dietitians existed in hospitals. And beyond that, there were just a handful dietitians who were working in private, and that was also for very elite class and
Okay.
out of the bounds for the normal people. So they were looking at something very premium kind of. So I started off in a hospital setup. If you know All India Institute of Diabetes, which is now known as, it was known as Raheja Hospital,
Okay.
and now it is known as Fortis in
Oh,
Mahim.
okay, yeah.
I was working there. It was All India Institute of Diabetes, and it was a very good experience, and it formed my basis, the very strong basis, because I get to work with the very famous, you can say, diabetologist. It was a institute for diabetes, and I got to work with some of the stalwarts of diabetologists like Dr. V.S. Asgaonkar, Dr. B.S. Raheja, Dr. Chandalia, if you have heard about. Dr. Deepak Dalal, so many of the very prestigious and very learned personalities. And about working for say 8-9 years over there, getting a lot of experience into the research areas, presentations. We have done a lot of patient education programs and everything. I decided to move on into another field, which is a diabetes education, and I started working with MNCs.
Okay.
I have worked with 3 MNCs, and one of them I completed my diabetes educators program with, which was affiliated to the John Hopkins Institute.
Okay.
So after doing my diabetes education, and also, by the way, while I was working, I got myself registered. I got the registered dietitian, which was again which you have to give the examination, and you are affiliated with the Indian Dietetic Association as a registered dietitian. So all those things were happening. And after working again for about 8 years with the MNCs, again, a lot of learning when you are in MNC, in
Right.
corporate. It is quite different from a clinical practice. You are into a corporate, and you get to know a lot about marketing, how to plan your strategies, how to make the long term plans, how to make your balance sheets, profits, and bottom line numbers. You learn about that. So that was quite a experience for me. And again, somewhere I felt that I'm getting away from my clinical practice. I was missing the nutrition, which is my core base and my passion. I was missing that. So one fine day, I just decided that I've had enough, and I left my job,
Oh, wow.
which was a very cushy and very, very well paying job. I just, from very well paying to I came to zero, and started my own practice, working with the I work basically in Chembur. So I started getting associated with the hospitals and getting associated with the doctors, networking here, there. बहुत काम किया है. Like, I remember, even for one case, I used to travel from all the way from Chembur to Panvel, which is about 40 kilometers,
Oh.
coming,
Yeah.
going, and that time there were no trains, mind you. You had to go by
Oh.
bus
Oh.
and see just one patient and come back. So a lot of toiling was done to establish myself. And then last about now 15 years, I started my own nutrition and wellness clinic. And by God's grace, it's really given good returns for all that hard work which was gone into it making. And
Wow.
it's a completely satisfying and job. It gives a lot of satisfaction to see you are giving making a difference to people's lives.
For sure. Yeah. How is your approach to health and diet changed over time?
Okay, when 30 years back, like the science is always evolving. It is nothing. That is nothing static. It's a learning every day. Something new researches are happening. New drugs are coming into market. So the guidelines which are we are following evidence-based diets, right? So it is matlab, it's a scientific evidence-based, which are which are done through the a lot of researches. All right. So it is not just reading what you read 30 years back and just putting it into a paper now. It is a continuously evolving. For example, I will tell you how the concepts have changed into the diet and nutrition. The concepts have really evolved. For example, if you remember, and still people do, many people are scared of eating egg yolk. right?
Hmm.
Egg yolk contains cholesterol, उसमें
Right.
cholesterol है, fat है, so heart disease में नहीं खाना चाहिए. So all those concepts were there. Even we promoted that because those were the guidelines given by a cohort study. Cohort study is a one which is it's a large group study which is done on a people with certain characteristics. Okay, so
Okay.
it is done for a number of years. So this was given by American Heart Association, and that was saying that you should not be giving more than one egg yolk to a heart patient because it is connected with the blood cholesterol. It will increase your LDL cholesterol. But the same cohort study in the year 2018, they changed their lookout. They changed this. The study came out with the new findings that okay, now it looks like that the dietary cholesterol doesn't have anything to do with the blood cholesterol. Okay, so it is more to do with what kind of fat you are eating and what kind of lifestyle you are leading. If you're having a lot of stress in your life and a lot of carbohydrate, refined food, rich food, trans fats into your diet, that is what is going to lead to your cholesterol, LDL cholesterol, to be more in your blood. So the concepts, if you see, and mind you, for so many years I have practiced, we were always believing that this particular thing, that the egg cholesterol is not so bad, like, but how you do, what other things you do with your diet, that's what matters. Okay, so you can see how the same study had changed, the concepts are changing, and we have to constantly read, upgrade ourselves. And now with the new social media, internet, people are having lot of information.
Yeah.
They have probably more information than we are having. So we have to read and we have to be informed to answer the questions, and most of the times we are dealing with how to remove the misinformation
Right.
and give the correct information.
Yeah, like you said, so there is so much information online. So, what are people actually getting wrong about nutrition?
Okay. So nutrition, let me tell you, nutrition is it's a science. All right, it is not about it is not about food alone. Okay,
Okay.
it is about the food. It is about the science of food. It is about the biochemistry. It is about your anatomy, your physiology, how it is going to act into your body. So the nutrition deals with all those factors which are associated when you eat food, right? What happens once the food goes inside your body. So nutrition is mostly also to do with the prevention. All right,
Okay.
it is not only about कि अभी हमको डायबिटीज़ हो गया, अभी हमको हार्ट डिजीज़ हो गया, अभी हम फॉलो करेंगे न्यूट्रिशन. Okay,
Okay.
so it is also about prevention of so many lifestyle diseases. Similarly, I want to make one point that when people say about nutrition or dietitian, they only associate us with the weight loss or weight gain.
Right.
But dietetics is a much wider fraternity. All right, it encompasses lot of other metabolic as well as the functional diseases. Okay, so it is for example, we have dietitians who are specializing in cancer, onco dietitians. We have pediatric dietitians. We have dietitians who are looking at the newborn metabolic errors. We have dietitians who are into the research field. We have corporate dietitians who are working into corporate wellness programs, or you have specialization in school canteen informing. So the scope of the dietitians and the dietetics is very, very wide. We have the dietitians who are doing forming the newer the healthy foods, doing their own R&D and coming out with the healthy snacks. So you can see that there is a vast variety of dietitian and the application of nutrition. All
Okay.
right. So people think that the nutrition is we have to go to a nutritionist or a dietitian when we have problem. Okay, and that is when that is where the things start going wrong. Like I feel that people should look at the nutrition as a more as a prevention and wellness rather than the treatment.
Okay.
Because the early you start your the taking up the healthy diet, following the healthy habits, following the balanced diet, learning about the food, having a good relationship with the diet, having a good relationship with your food, sleep, that is going to help you in future to build up a good health, and you can keep your all lifestyle diseases a little away.
So someone who has not consulted a dietitian or a nutritionist and they think they are following some healthy habits, but what do you think they're doing that which probably is harming their nutrition instead of actually helping them?
Correct. So I'll tell you a story.
Yeah.
So the other day, the last week, I had one a yoga teacher coming into my clinic. Perfectly very very healthy, nothing wrong with her. The diet, if you see, we always take a diet recall and what you are eating, and we see their blood parameters and all. Everything perfectly normal. There is no diabetes, there is no disease, there is no weight is normal. Weight is the problem she came out with, that she was increasing in the weight. But if you see her diet, she was eating perfectly healthy food. Okay,
Okay.
everything like sabere उठ के ड्राई फ्रूट्स लेना, एग्स खाना, प्रोटीन लेना, खाने में दाल खाना, you all these daliyas and dahis and everything, and yet she was putting on weight. All right.
Okay.
And she was at loss that I'm doing everything right, and she, mind you, she's a yoga teacher.
Right.
Her students come to me for diet consultation.
Okay.
And so then what we found that, like she was eating healthy, but she was eating too much of healthy.
Oh.
Okay, so they didn't know how to manage the calories over there.
Okay.
टू मच ऑफ हेल्दी फूड, मतलब आपने जहाँ पे आपको 5 या 6 आलमंड्स खाना था, आई एम गिविंग यू एग्जाम्पल, वेर यू आर ईटिंग 10-15 थिंकिंग दैट इट इज़ गुड फॉर यू, लाइक you are eating one plate full of fruits, like so you are eating healthy, but you are not counting what you are eating. So how much calories you are getting in, and that's where the problem started. Even though you are doing the diet, you are doing exercise, you are spending it, but you are eating far more than you are able to burn, and that's where the problem started. So this was just one example, but then people have very also have a very simplistic view of about food. They simplify food. मतलब कैसा है ना कि ओट्स खा लो, फॉर एग्जाम्पल, वेरी सिंपल. आपको वेट कम करना है, ओट्स खा लो. सवेरे, दोपहर को, शाम को ओट्स खा लो, वेट कम हो जाएगा. और यू कैन से हाउ मेनी पीपल कम टू मी सेइंग दैट मैं सवेरे उठ के आई टेक दैट नींबू पानी विथ हनी इनटू इट, एंड आई डोंट सी एनी डिफरेंस. Right? So they think that just making 1 or 2 changes in their diet, they are going to achieve what they want, the weight loss or whatever they are looking, less getting the cholesterol down or diabetes. But it is not, it doesn't work. So what is happening here is a non-holistic view about the diet. Okay, you are not looking at the diet and your entire lifestyle, you are not taking it holistically, there could be many lacunas over there. There could be there could be vitamin deficiencies. There could be your metabolic rate might be less. There could be so many factors which you are not addressing. As simple as, even if you have vitamin D deficiency, or if you are having iron deficiency, you will not be able to lose weight, and many people fail to even detect that. So that's where the diets, they do everything right, but they don't know what are the things they are missing, which should be accounted for.
Wow. So actually, what is the difference between weight loss and fat loss?
Okay. So if you take your weight, for example, it does consist of a lot of factors, like, which is, our weight is not only body fat. It is about your muscles, it is about your body fluids, it is about your water in the body, it is about your bones, right? There are so many things which constitute your weight. And when we talk about weight loss, we are mostly talking about fat loss. Okay,
Okay.
we are only and only talking about fat loss, and this is where the people fail to understand that this is what we have to lose, the body fat, and not the muscles. So when we categorize our body tissues, we categorize as fat free mass and fat. Okay, body fat and fat free mass. Fat free mass will be everything which is essential for us, which is your bones, your body water, your muscles, everything is tissues, everything is essential for us, that is fat free mass. And other part is fat. So typically, if you look at males, they will have around 20-22% of body fat. Females will have around 30% of 32% fat. Between younger, the more less of fat you will having. As you age, your body fat grows. So people, when they go on to the diet, which is very fast, like you lose within 10 kgs in 2 months and all those things. Typically people will lose more their body fluids and their muscles than their bone density, rather than the body fat. Okay, so if you have to lose body fat very very in a sustainable manner and continuously, you can lose only about say about half a kg in a week. That's all. I mean, at the most you can lose about 2 kgs to 2.5 kg in a month. That is a fat loss we are talking about. Anything more than that, will be the loss of your body, other fat free mass, your bone density and muscles and those, etc. So that is what people fail to understand.
And to get this 0.5 kg reduction per week or 2.5 kgs per month, what actually is required? Like, of course, diet is required, but you said a holistic approach is required in terms of sleep, stress.
Correct. So everything is important when you are looking at the diet. People think only by eating less they will reduce, but calories is, of course, you have to see how much you are eating, whether you are eating age appropriate, whether you are eating according to your body requirement. See, every stage of the body you require, your caloric requirements are different. Okay.
Is there any category range where for this age to this age we can eat this?
Correct. For every range. For example, if you are a child between say you are in a puberty, adolescent, their requirements is somewhere around 2200 to 2600 calories,
per day.
It's per day. It's a growth period. So if you are in a teens, it is more. and if you are in your middle age, you require somewhere around 1800 to 2000 calories for meals. But if you are it this is I'm talking about basic requirement. If you are doing a more physical activities, strenuous activities, you will require even
Okay.
more calories. Females similarly will require somewhere around 1600 to 1800 calories in a very young adulthood. But as you age, your calorie requirement will come down. Females will be requiring somewhere around 1400 1500 calories. Males will be required about 16 to 1800 calories as you go into the middle age. But that doesn't mean your micronutrient requirements changes. Okay, your macros and your micros, your requirements are different for different stage too. Like for if you are in, say you are a pregnant or lactating female, they will require more iron, they will require more calcium. Similarly, women who are in their menopause, after menopause, they will require more calcium in their diet. So the calories are important, the micro and macronutrients are important, your lifestyle, your exercise is important, your sleep is important, the stress levels are important. Everything is important when you are managing a diet for any purpose, be it for weight loss, be it for diabetes control, be it for cholesterol control. You need to look at all these things when you are planning a diet.
Why does the number of calorie intake reduces or required to reduces when you grow with time?
Okay, so what happens is, as I said, when you are growing old, the body metabolic rate comes down. Okay, because the muscle
Correct.
tissues come down,
Right.
your activity levels come down, and naturally, if you look at our life cycle, what the activity, we used to do when we are in 25 or 20 years, we don't do the same activity when we are 40 50 years old. We kind of a slow down. Also, our metabolic, the aging process starts, and your fat tissue goes on increasing, your muscles go down, your bone density is going down, so the requirements also come down. Okay,
Okay.
and hence we keep telling to do the physical activity. Here plays very important role. If you don't want your metabolic rate to go down, basal metabolic rate to go down, you need to be more active. Your body has to be more active, doing at least half an hour 40 minutes of exercise in a day, so that your diet can be well maintained.
So let's take an example. Say, for example, a 30-year-old male and is working, has an active lifestyle, works out 1 hour a day. Approximately the calorie intake per day which is allowed for him is 2000 calories.
Correct.
So he's following the diet, he's sleeping 8 hours a day, manage stress, and works out 1 hour a day. How does the weight loss exactly happen here? Because he's eating how much he's supposed to eat, he's following all the things.
Correct,
So
correct.
what's going on behind the scenes?
So behind the scenes is, first a patient comes to us or a client comes to us, we do their body fat analysis. Okay, so it is not that just because you are weighing more on the scale, we will be giving you a fat loss diet. All right. So many times it so happens that the body composition is perfect. Okay, you don't need to reduce the weight because you are having good muscle mass. Okay, you are having a less of fat in the body, and if you have that kind of a composition, then you certainly don't need to reduce weight. You are having a good muscles, you are having a good bone density, you are having a good fat free mass in your body, then you don't actually need to reduce weight. That is number one. So first we have to see the body composition, whether you need to reduce your weight. Okay, fine. If your body fat is more and you need to reduce the weight, and this is where the calorie deficit will come into the picture. What we do is we take the diet recall. okay, what
Okay.
you are eating.
Hmm.
And we say you are eating from whole day, what you are eating for 1 day, 2 days, or there is 3 day recall also is there. There is a weekly recall also. There are various ways in which we find out, approximately how much calories are going into you,
Hmm.
and then give you say just a 400 500 calorie deficit per week. If we give you, you will
Okay.
see per day, if we give you, you will see a good half a kg of weight loss in a week. You will
Okay.
see, if everything else is constant and in a good factor. So that's how the diet is planned. But we suppose today you are taking say 2500 calories. There is no point in giving you 1200 calories just because that 1200 calorie diet is very famous and
Hmm.
everybody wants, like, why are you giving me 18? I People question, like, why are you giving me 1800 calories, why aren't you giving me 1200 calories?
Oh.
So people are very very informed these days, and they try to find out, like, yeah, which is good in a way. There is no problem in explaining. But even with doing 1800 calories, probably your weight will come down. The what is important is the final goal,
Hmm.
right?
Correct.
Not how you achieve it,
Correct.
right? That's the thing about it.
So, like staple food like rice and potatoes, right, get a lot of like hatred or blame online in terms of diet. So, what's your view on that?
Okay, so rice and potato, I mean, no food, I will say, can be demonized. Okay, can be. It's always in a reference to context. Okay, it's
Okay.
always which which type of rice, how much of rice, what problem are you associating with that. For example, if you are a highly uncontrolled diabetic, and if you are taking say white polished rice, which has a higher glycemic index. Glycemic index is the ability of a food to raise the blood sugars. All
Okay.
right. So some foods have inherently lower glycemic index. For example, your millets. Okay, they have a little lower glycemic index than a rice. Even your wheat, which has a lower glycemic index than rice. So that's the reason why we tell ki you avoid the white rice. But
Okay.
if the same diabetic person wants to have a say rice, and he is coming from south and cannot do without rice,
Right.
then we do allow him the rice which has a lower glycemic index,
Okay.
like your brown rice. You have your red matta rice, you have, or ukda chawal, what we call. Then nowadays we get something called as low glycemic index rice also, which,
Okay.
yeah, which is white in color, but it has a very high amount of fiber in that.
Okay.
Okay. So that's also, that can be given. But at the end of the day, what matters is how much you are eating.
Hmm.
All right, that portions are very important to know, key, that will be the final determinant to how much your sugar will be raised. Okay, so it doesn't matter whether it is a brown or red, but if you are eating loads of them,
Yeah.
the glycemic load, what we call the
Hmm.
total count of the carbohydrates, is
Yeah.
going to increase, and that is going to certainly raise your blood glucose.
What
But
are, yeah.
one more hack which is can be done over here is adding a lot of fiber to your diet. All right.
What is the importance of fiber actually in a diet?
Fiber here,
Huh.
the same thing, it will delay the process of digestion. Okay, so the food will stay in
Oh.
your stomach for a long time. So the absorption of the glucose from your food will take a longer time, and then the
Okay.
sugar spike which we see, postprandial blood sugar spike, will be lower in a diabetic person. So eating a lot of, also combining it with the low GI foods like your dahi, or adding some proteins into the diet like your chicken, eggs, paneer, dal, sprouts, salads. If you add, these are low glycemic index foods, or low calorie, not low calorie, low glycemic index, they don't increase the sugar fast. So if you mix with that your meal,
Hmm.
then it will be that the it will not raise the blood sugar so much. Okay,
Okay.
so that is one more thing, which is a mixed meal glycemic index. So
Okay.
eating a lot of fiber with the food is really going to help there.
So it basically
Same thing
keeps you
goes for
satiated.
potatoes.
Okay.
Potatoes also the same thing. 100 grams of potatoes gives you 100 calories, which is way more than all other vegetables, and it
Okay.
has a higher glycemic index. And the funny thing about the potatoes is, boiled potato, how you prepare it, the potatoes, that is very important. So the boiled potatoes, as you process it further, say like if you make french fries, the glycemic index increases. If you make a baked potato, the glycemic index increases. So every process, adds on to the glycemic index. So if you want to have a potato, enjoy, and don't want to increase your blood sugar, then eat in a boiled form. That is what is important over here.
Okay.
So similarly things go for the fermented food also, like your idlis, dosas,
Okay.
very high glycemic index. So
Oh, idli
yes,
dosas are high glycemic.
very high glycemic index, though it has the dal into it, but the simple process of fermentation will increase the glycemic index. So
Oh.
here what we can do is, we can add, instead of adding only rice, we can add millets to the dosas, and add, there is something called, if you have heard, and it's called resistant starch. Have you heard about jackfruit flour? You get,
Hmm.
it is a kind of a resistant starch, which when added to your batter or your food, can reduce the insulin, glucose spike,
Oh.
and decrease the insulin levels in the body.
Wow.
So there are different ways in which you can still manage around the food, but you should know like how to go about this.
What are the daily diet mistakes which people make?
Okay. One of the major mistakes what people do is skipping the breakfast.
Acha.
All right, and people are generally, at least in urban areas, people are very, hurry in the morning. Nobody
Uh,
has time, or cook also,
correct.
to have a breakfast. Or even if they take breakfast, it's always high carbohydrate loaded. Cornflakes le liya,
Uh,
muesli le liya, peanut butter le liya, all those things, bread,
right.
those kind of. Most of the meals, Indian meals, are very high carb, very high carb. Though they do not eat much of the proteins in the diet. Many times skipping meals.
Okay.
Skipping meals is very common. People just skip, lunch or breakfast, or they keep a long gaps. दोपहर में सवेरे खाया, फिर रात को खाया, and what happens is, you start developing cravings.
Correct.
You developing a lot of cravings, you feel very hungry,
Hmm.
then you binge on the food.
Hmm.
And most of the uh, biggest mistake people do, I think, is a late night food habits, which is now I see very rampant. There could be many reasons which could be genuine. People reach, in urban cities, people reach home late, and they are not able to. But even otherwise also, people are in habit of eating evening snacking.
Hmm.
Like we have our vada, samosas eating in the evenings. Everybody by default, by 5 or 6 goes into the canteens
Yeah.
or, thelewalas
Yeah.
and start picking all these junk food.
Right.
And then the dinners get very late.
Right.
And then the dinners are also very heavy.
Right.
Generally, instead of the breakfast being heavy, the dinners are very heavy, and they are all again carb loaded. Eating sweets after food, late night ice creams and all the sweet snackings. Then there are home delivery services which are at the tip of your fingers, which give you services even at night.
Right.
So that is what is, people are making mistakes. And then again, eat 5-2 rule, 5 days diet karte hain, 2 days weekends, everybody goes and enjoys party and taking alcohol and binging on the food and then wondering why the diet is not working. So somewhere that also is one of the factors where people are going wrong.
Yeah, well said. So nowadays, meal sequencing is something which is coming to light. Do you think the order in which we eat food matters?
Absolutely, that's a very good question, and I feel that makes a lot of improvement, not only in helping you to curb your hunger, but decreasing your blood glucose spikes also postprandial meals. So typically, meal sequencing means eating your fiber or your protein or fat in the diet first before you eat your carbohydrates, which is your chapatis or bread or rice, whatever you are eating that comes out of carbohydrates. So meal sequencing basically means having your salads or your vegetables first, then going on to your the dals, or if you are eating some non-veg, a piece of chicken or a fish or paneer, having your buttermilk or dahi, and then you go towards your carb. You will see the quite a bit of blood glucose reduction in the postprandial meals. Not only that, when it will help to control the portions. It will help to कर, जहाँ पे आप 3 रोटी खाते थे, शायद 2 रोटी से
खाएंगे।
2 रोटी से आपका पेट
पेट
भर
भर
जाएगा,
जाएगा, हाँ।
उतना कैलोरी कम हो जाएगा, and then you will not even feel that you have missed out on your food. You will feel full, and it also helps you to eat a little slowly, so that your gut can send a message to your brain that you are full and you can stop eating, because it takes about 20 minutes for the gut to send the message after you start eating. So that's why that saying is there: eat your food slowly, chew your food, because your gut and your brain is always constantly communicating with each other, and it's sending the signals to your brain to when to start eating, when to stop eating, when to binge eating, when to not to eat. So all this communication is always going on, and we fail to understand this communication and we override that, and that's where the problems start.
Wow. So I didn't know it takes 20 minutes.
Correct.
Okay. So a lot of like nowadays a lot of marketing is done regarding protein bars, granola bars, brown bread. What is your opinion on all of that? Is it actually healthy?
Healthy. Okay, all these foods, there are so many health foods now in market. Everybody wants to market their food as healthy, and there are nutritional claims: high in fiber, high in vitamin C, high in protein. You go by packaging.
Yeah, correct.
And you feel that you get impressed by that, And then there are a lot of marketing activities which goes on simultaneously. People feel, when you see in your feed, when you see 2, 3, 4, 10 times in a day the same ad about
Correct,
this
correct.
food, you will also become curious and you'll say, acha theek to lag raha hai, and people are taking it, let me also give it a try. But what people do not do, even the educated people do not do, is read labels.
Hmm.
Okay, reading labels is so very important. I mean, of course, I'm talking about the packaged foods which are there. There are so much of another market of the health food which goes under fat free and sugar free. जैसे sweet हो गया, sugar free cake हो गया, तो वो तो उसमें तो labeling नहीं होता. But जहाँ पे आप जैसे बार की बात कर रहे हो, या you are talking about the brown bread, you have to read labels.
Okay.
What you will find as the names which is like for sugar, for example, it will not be written as sugar, it will be written as some alternative, like it will be some corn syrup, it will be some honey which will be said, it will be high fructose syrup, agave syrup, maltodextrin. There are so many alternative names.
Okay.
SCFC will be written, which is a high corn fructose syrup. So the different names will be there, but it will be sugar at the end of the day.
Okay.
All right. Also, there will be there will be saturated fat which will be higher in that. So you have to not only read the labels, you have to understand what percentage of that consisted. Like for example, if that one serving of that food is giving you, say, more than 5 grams of fat, or it is giving you, then it is not good for you.
Oh.
All right. So or if it is saying that it is high in fiber, then each fiber should give me around at least each serving should give me about 3 to 5 grams of fiber. Like it should be, your daily requirement is about 35 grams of fiber, so it should at least give me 10% of my fiber requirement of the day. So there is something called DV percent, which is written on the that is daily value percentage of how much you require. So if it is, you are looking at the say you are looking at the fiber, you are looking at the calcium levels, or you are looking at the iron level, that it is good in iron or vitamin C, at least it has to be more than 10 to 15% of your DV.
Oh.
All right. So then only it becomes, it is a really high in that fiber, this thing. So reading labels is very important. अभी आप ब्राउन ब्रेड आपने बात की, ब्राउन ब्रेड की बात की. So when you read a label of a brown bread, what is a brown bread when you take? You expect it should be made from the whole wheat flour. Okay. But whole wheat flour is, you have to read the first 3 ingredients what are written over there. And the first ingredient is the one which has the highest weight in that making that product.
Yeah.
So if it says refined wheat flour, then it says wheat flour, and then it says wheat bran. You can say that refined wheat flour is nothing but maida. All right. So you have to really decipher what has been written on the label before you buy it. People also go by the fancy names, multigrain and multigrain atta, multigrain bread.
Yeah.
But if you read the labels, you will see that there is only 10% atta which is multigrain. Rest 90% is a wheat flour that we are taking in the normal day-to-day life. Okay, but you are paying way more extra just to make it multigrain, and which is not even 10%. So if it is a really multigrain, it should at least have 30 to 40% as a multigrain into it. So then it will become the multigrain atta. So all these things are, very difficult, I understand, for a common person to make out whether they are taken for a ride,
Yeah.
purchasing and paying more for these health, so-called health products. But at the same time, there is nothing else we can do than educating our clients and people, learning more about it, and finding out, fortunately now we have AI which can tell us, all these things at the tip
Correct.
of fingers. We can make use of our AI to get these kind of information to about the food labels.
So there are also like a lot of buzz around this. Like it's like they very strongly everyone says that sugar is not good, but sometimes they say jaggery is okay. But sometimes some people say honey is okay. Some people say artificial sweeteners like stevia is okay. So what is the difference between all of them, and what is actually good?
So if you ask me, sugar, jaggery, honey, I will just keep it under one group.
Same category.
Same category.
Okay.
There is calorie wise, there is no difference.
Okay.
Jaggery might have a little bit advantage of having little bit of more iron and some magnesium into it, and honey has some medicinal properties. But when it comes to the calories,
same thing.
everything is same, and it doesn't matter. So if you are going on a weight loss, you will have to observe how much of sugar and jaggery you are. Jaggery also has many forms. Sugar also has many forms. Now we have coconut sugar, we have palm sugar.
Correct.
We have different date sugars, date syrups, and
all are same.
same. All are same. Like
Okay.
the different versions of the same thing. So you have to be really vigilant about that if you are looking at your sugar consumption, the total sugar consumption in your diet. The other part is then the artificial sweeteners which are there in the market. There are a lot of categories on artificial sweeteners too. You call them under different, like you must have heard about aspartame, saccharine,
Yeah.
sucralose,
Yeah.
and the newest thing is the stevia,
Monk fruit.
monk fruit. Yeah. So these are different categories, and they come under a food category which is known as grass, generally recognized as safe. All right.
Okay.
It's a category of food which is called as grass.
Grass. GRASS.
Yeah, GRAS.
Acha.
Okay, generally recognized as safe.
Okay.
So they are safe as the name of this thing, and the safety, their upper limit is very high. Like for example, if you take about stevia, like the safety levels are somewhere around 4 milligrams, 4 milligrams per kg body weight. All right.
Acha.
Per kg body weight.
Oh.
So if you are
Quite a lot.
looking at a 60 or 70 kg
Body weight.
person can take about 30-40 packets of that stevia, which comes the small
Yeah.
packets of stevia you can take, but we are not going to take that much.
Correct.
So right. So if you want to go and sweeten your tea, coffee or beverages, milk, etc. with the artificial sweeteners, you can do it. Okay. But the problem comes when there is too much of consumption of these artificial sweeteners. Okay. What happens is these artificial sweeteners can destroy or they can imbalance your gut microflora. Okay. Gut microflora, when I say it's these are the bacteria which stay in your colon, the last part of your large intestine, colon. There are trillions of bacteria which stay in this small part, and they are the one which govern the entire status of your gut. Okay, so there are some good bacteria in that, some are bad bacteria, and they live in a kind of a harmony over there, balancing, very tight control balancing act. So but when you take the wrong diets, or when you are taking a lot of these artificial sweeteners, there is something, the bad bacteria kind of start growing more.
Okay.
All right, and that was what is called as gut dysbiosis. And when this gut dysbiosis takes place, typically you will have a digestion issues, you will have a bloating, you will have cramping, you have lot of gases passing, you will have constipation. So a lot of these GI problems will arise, and then you will be wondering what went wrong. But the reason could be as simple as the eating a lot of cans of your diet cokes and colas and sugar, artificial sweetener drinks, or sweets which are with the artificial sweeteners. So limiting those is also very important. But if you ask me, it is safe, then yes, it is safe to eat.
Okay. And why is belly fat so difficult to lose?
Okay, belly fat is, it's the metabolically most active fat in your body. Okay, and you can say that it is like your reserve of your body energy.
Yeah.
Okay, so body tries to conserve. Last में जब problem आएगा that energy giving, so that belly fat is from where the energy will come. It's a last resource. So what happens is when you have a lot of these high carbohydrate diet, or lot of saturated fat, or drinking a lot of alcohol, or if you have a insulin resistance, those belly fat, the cells there start proliferating more. They start they stop the energy breakdown. Okay. So there are two types of cells. Little bit of science I will tell you this, because this is where people need to understand. There are two types of cells on your belly fat. Belly fat, when you say, we call it visceral fat. And the visceral fat is the one which is between your organs. Between your liver and kidney, around your ovaries. Okay, that is what we call as a visceral fat. Typically visceral fat is somewhere between 0 to 10% in a person. Okay. But as I said, the lifestyle, when your changes and you start having a lot of carb rich food, or sweets, or refined food, maida, and eating, binge eating and drinking, so then that your food gets converted into fat, and it is stored over there. And there are two types of cells on there. There is called alpha cells and beta cells. The beta cells are the one which will resist the breakdown of energy from that from your cells, and the alpha cells are the one which will burn the energy from that fat. And what happens again, because of the lack of the good lifestyle, the beta cells will increase, and you will have more and more cells which are unable to break down for the energy, and what you develop what is called as insulin resistance. Okay, because the insulin is the one which will help to break down the glucose in your cells. You will have the insulin resistance, and that's how your belly fat will keep on growing. And what you have to do is, again, you have to go back to having a balanced food, eating a lot of fiber in your diet, taking care of your sleep. You have to manage the stress, eating, drinking a lot of water. So all those things, and exercise, of course, so output, your body metabolic rate has to increase, your insulin level has to go down, and that's where you will see that the belly fat will go.
Okay.
That's how the belly fat will go. It takes a long time. It takes consistent efforts to get the belly fat down.
So ma'am, nowadays there are so many multivitamin supplements, omega-3, which people are trying to consume. How do they decide whether they actually have to consume that and if they actually need it?
So there are a lot of multivitamins, and they are freely marketed on social media, in your internet, and everybody, all celebrity are endorsing. They are taking the multivitamins and calcium and iron and omega threes, all you name it, and magnesium, for
Mm-hmm.
example. But the thing is, unless you know the biochemical profile, or the whether you are really deficient in that, you should not be taking it. All
Okay.
right, it is not that multivitamin pill is for everyone. All
Oh.
right. For example, like if you are taking your vitamin D3, or let's take vitamin D3. Vitamin D3 is deficient in everybody, almost everybody. We know that. So people start taking, on their own vitamin
Mm-hmm.
D3. They start taking. They take the mega doses of vitamin D3, which is a weekly. They start taking, and they don't know how many. Just they keep on taking it, right? But do you know, if you take a lot of, if you have a hypervitaminosis of vitamin D, you can have you can have a bad effect of that. For example, you can have something like nausea. You can develop your calcium levels will go very high in your blood. Your immunity will go down. All right, so all these things will happen if you take it unchecked, all the vitamins and supplements. If you are taking, always take the supplements if it is recommended by your doctor. Always cross check if with your doctor or a dietitian, if you need to take the vitamins, and then only take. That will be my suggestion. It is not that everybody requires a magnesium supplement. And check your magnesium levels. If it is more than 2.6%, 2.6 milligram percent, then you are already into hypervitaminosis. All right, so not everybody is deficient into that. Only whom do we give magnesium? For example, we give to the athletes, people who sweat a lot, who do a lot of physical activity, endurance activity. They have to do a lot of running, and so you can develop some muscle cramps, or you have you have a little weakness because of that. So there is where the magnesium is usually prescribed, but otherwise you rarely have somebody having the magnesium deficiency as such. People have, if you are eating a balanced diet, you get good amount of magnesium from that.
But like you said, there are some tests to do that. So actually, is there a proper test to check all of this if it's?
Yes, there are tests.
Acha.
You can test everything if you want to do it. For example, now omega 3. Omega 3 is a fatty acid, it is not a vitamin. All right.
Okay.
So it's a fatty acid, and if you are having, for example, lot of inflammation in the body, or if you are having high, say your triglyceride levels are high, your blood lipids are little bit on a higher side, then that is the time when we can suggest omega 3 supplements for that, because it will improve the cardiac markers if you are giving the omega 3 supplements. But it can be achieved through food also.
Okay.
Yeah, so omega 3 you can give through food also. So you have, if you are a fish eater, for example, if you are eating flax seeds, if you are eating methi seeds, if you are eating chia seeds, there are
Okay.
so many foods in your diet. Your soya bean, your spinach, for example, that will also give you omega 3. Walnuts, so many things which can give you the
Okay.
omega 3 in the diet. So if you include that will also give you the people. Everyone does not go need to take the supplements.
Okay.
Similarly goes for the iron supplements. Only if you are deficient in iron, you will be requiring iron supplement.
Okay. So recently, also in the market now, Ozempic and Mounjaro are two things which are trending. What's your view on that?
So these weight loss drugs, they are in the market for last one decade. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, but under a different name. They were called liraglutide. They were called, semaglutide. So, but the FDA approval for India, then we had it in last 2 years. We are having semaglutide variations, and we now had terpizide, which is your Mounjaro, which is a combination of GLP-1 and GIP. So that is also used for these are the weekly injections which are taken. They are safe, no doubt.
Okay.
They are safe, no doubt. They are give good results for people who are say your BMI is more than 30, or your BMI is more than 27, but you have diabetes, you have cholesterol, you have BP. Then in those patients, and your lifestyle, whatever you do, you are not able to lose weight. There are people who are unable to lose weight for whatever reasons. It can be their physiological reason, or that can be behavioral reason, binge eating, or their lifestyle they are not able to correct. Then that is a good solution for them to take these weekly injections and bring down the weight, right?
Okay.
But that is one part of it. There are some I could say side effects which you will see initially, like there will be nausea, there will be vomiting, there will be some kind of abdominal pain, constipation, because these drugs, how they work towards giving delaying your gastric emptying, so your food will stay in your stomach for a longer time. So people will might see a constipation, the your gut movements will be reduced, so you will see your food remaining in your stomach for a longer time. So you will feel full faster also. The satiety will be improved. You will not feel so hungry, and your cravings will come down. You will not feel like eating, binge eating, all those things what were there, that will come considerably gone down. So your insulin sensitivity will improve. So the insulin production will also come down, so the weight will come down. Effect, no it's there, effect is there, but the thing is, it needs to be taken for a long time. All right, so it is not a shortcut like people will take for 1 month, 2 months. It is not for that. You have to take it for a long time. And also, when you stop these medications, the chances are you will regain the weight.
Okay.
Right? So you actually need to learn about how to taper the dose, and you have to be monitored by your doctor while you are stopping this medication, and get down step down from these medications. So we are also learning, like, because these are in the market for now last 2 years only, and now with the patent going off from the drugs, there are many pharma companies which are coming with these semaglutide versions in their own. So the cost is also going to come down, or it has already come down, and more people will be affording it, and more people will be going for it.
Okay.
So we are also crossing our fingers not to see a long-term effect. There have been some sporadic side effects which have been like your gallstones or pancreatitis, which has been reported. There could be some incidences of your diabetic retinopathy, the retina getting worse. So all those complications have also been reported. So we are also learning now actually about this drug and how it's going to behave in a long term.
Okay.
But as of now, yes, it is helping for the diabetics to get down their blood sugars under control.
Okay. And for vegetarians, typically there's a conversation around that the protein is usually very less. So are protein powders really necessary to be consumed when a person is dieting, especially being a vegetarian? And how does one understand how much protein intake they should take on a daily basis?
Okay, so protein, as far as the protein requirements are there, we all of us require at least 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per day. So if you are a 70 kg, you will require about 65 to 70 grams of protein in your diet.
Okay.
And typically, if you look at your vegetarian diet, we have tweaked it so that it is all carb loaded. Okay, it's not that you cannot get your protein from the diet. Even in a vegetarian diet, you can manage
Okay.
to get. Yes, you can manage to get your protein from the from your diet, but if you, what happens is, now I'll give you an example. Milk, for example, milk is a good source of protein, but many people are lactose intolerant, right? So vegetarians, what they will eat next, they will talk about dal will have protein, but if you eat 100 grams of dal, it will just give you about 20 grams of protein. And have you seen 100 grams of dal when it is cooked, how much it will look? How it will look? It will look 4 katoris of dal. Okay, so much of dal if you take in a day, then you may have other problems, the gastric issues. So
Okay.
so that's where the constraint comes, as far as then in vegetarian diets there is paneer, for example. You have now you can make paneer from a low fat milk, and you can get a good amount of protein from that, but but this has to be done daily, right? You have to eat say 2 to 3 portions of dal, you have to take 2 portions of milk, you have to eat 1 or 2 portions of paneer, you have to eat one portion of nuts, which is also gives you some amount of protein. So all this has to be done on a daily basis to meet your daily requirement of protein, right? Which is not done. And that's where the problem comes, and that's where the protein powders come into the picture. Okay, and as far as the protein, concern is there regarding protein powder, that they are damage your liver and kidneys and all those things. They are quite unfounded, like there is nothing most of the the trusted brands which we work around, and we know, we have been working for so many years in this industry, and we know which are the brands which are good. There are different kinds of proteins which are there. Protein powders are there. There are whey protein, there is whey isolate, there is whey hydrolyzed, there are concentrate, there is plant proteins, plant isolates, there are soya proteins, there are egg proteins. There are many kinds of, there are blends also, so there are different types of proteins, and everybody we have to decide like what kind of protein and how much you require to take that, right? That is very important. So if you are, for example, you are lactose intolerant, you may not be able to tolerate the whey concentrate, or you may not be able to take the casein protein. So depends, like, but protein powders, yes, if your diet is less in the proteins, then you can add protein powders in your diet, vegetarians.
So, ma'am, you also work with patients who have diabetes and heart diseases, like you mentioned earlier. And can you share an example of how diets can actually, reverse this?
Okay. First, let me tell, diet is all about prevention.
Okay.
So if you have a family history of diabetes or heart disease, you should be working on it right from the age of 25.
Oh.
Yes. So if you take care of your diet and your lifestyle from there, you can postpone the onset of diabetes and the heart disease. All right, you can do that. And because many of us, we have the family history. घर में कोई ना कोई at least dad, mummy, grandfather, uncles सब किसी को diabetes रहता है, and it is very rampant now. Every household you will find. So you have to start preventing it the onset. All right. But if suppose you get diabetes or you get in say your HbA1c is somewhere around 7 or 7.5 ऐसा है,
Right.
so in the earlier stages of diabetes we can certainly bring down your with the help of the diet and the lifestyle changes, we can bring down the your blood glucose levels. And many of my clients have come to a pre-diabetic, and some have even gone to a non-diabetic levels also.
Okay.
Now I'm talking about the initial stages. अगर आपको 10-15 साल से डायबिटीज़ है और ऑलरेडी आपके अगर बीटा सेल फंक्शन कम हो चुके हैं, लाइक योर पेंक्रियाटिक बीटा सेल्स फंक्शन हैज़ गॉन रिड्यूस्ड and the insulin production in the body has already reduced, then there is we cannot reverse it, but we can keep it under control. Yes, we can keep it under control. We can keep your HbA1c around 6.5 to 7 very easily with the help of the diet and medication, minimum medication. And I have seen in my practice when we make the diet changes, the diabetes goes into remission. I would not say reversing, but into remission. Remission means it is gone back. But if you do not follow the your proper diet regime, or you do not follow the lifestyle changes, then it is certainly you will get it back. Okay, so there is nothing called diabetes reversal as such. It is always a diabetes remission.
Okay. And are there any early signs which one can observe to, prevent it or like keep it under check? Are there any early signs?
Early signs is if you have a like for example, when I started in my early years, the guidelines was to check your blood glucose after the age of 45. All right. And that was a guideline to you should check your every 2 years you should check your blood glucose. But now the diabetes proportion has increased so much. By the way, we are diabetes capital in the whole world. We have about 101 million people who are diabetic in India. So the guidelines says the NIH, the National Institute of Health, suggests that you should, after the age of 30, you should check your diabetes for diabetes every year. Everyone should undergo. But some of the scholars or the doctors or some of the other guidelines also say after the age of 25. For the Southeast Asian people, we should check our blood glucose after the age of 25, because the chances of catching it early, if you are in a pre-diabetic stage, the getting into the non-diabetic stage is better. The prevention of getting, rather than going into the frank diabetic state, if you catch it at pre-diabetic level, the chances of going back to the normal is better.
Okay.
Same can be done about the your heart disease. Everyone should check their lipid levels. Okay? With the current lifestyle what they are having, the lipid levels need to be checked after the age of 30. Yes, you need to check it. Your cholesterol, your blood pressure. You need to see these health markers, HbA1c levels, your liver function test. All these needs to be checked.
Okay. And a lot of people, right, they have jobs which include a lot of travel, so they are constantly traveling. So how can one follow a diet and stay healthy when they're constantly traveling and eating out?
Correct. So we have a lot of people who are clients of mine who work in these airline industries, who are on the ships, for example, and they are constantly traveling. They are business people who are working across the zones all
Correct.
the time, and a challenge is, when you go from one country to another country, how you have to manage the food.
Correct.
So one of the things what we advise them is that um, follow the what to say, the principle of mindful eating. Okay, whenever you are eating,
Okay.
don't, just because you are traveling doesn't mean you go, eat whatever is available wherever you are. Pick up a food, or a restaurant which where there are something healthy is available.
Okay.
Carry food with you. Many of my airline clients, they carry the air hostess. We think they are eating the airline food. They are not eating the airline food. They carry their own food. They
Oh.
carry their dabbas
Okay.
with them, and they because it's very they have also realized that it's not very healthy to eat from the outside, so they carry food with them all the time. So carry some healthy snacks with you. You can carry protein bars, you can carry nuts, you can carry for munching, you can just carry some of the seed mixes, for example. You can always get a plate of fruit anywhere, so you can always find a place where you are getting a healthy food. And also, one of the things what you can do is, stop snacking, in between eating, and be on the main meals like your breakfast, lunch, dinner, for example. And stop having the mid meals which we keep munching all the time, something or the other. That alone will help to control the portions and the caloric intake, and and of course, you have when you go to a hotel, you can always customize what you are ordering. So nowadays people are very conscious, and all the hotels in a la carte, they can customize your diet. If you can tell them to add less of salt, you can tell them to add less of oil, or they will make your omelette without the oil. So you can customize your food wherever you are going. So that can be done, but that has to be done consciously, and you have to take efforts for that.
Okay. So a lot of our viewers also consist of entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs. So if somebody watching this podcast also wants to, eventually become a dietitian or a nutritionist, what practical advice do you have for them to succeed in this field?
Okay. So many dietitians, yes, it's as I said, is this scope of dietitian, and the work field, the work areas have increased tremendously. There are many places where the dietitian can find opportunity to work nowadays, and hence there are many girls, mostly girls, even boys, who are going in for a dietetics course. Firstly, you have to do your course from a reputed institute. Okay, this is a 3-year or 4-year degree course, and the post graduation is of 2 years. Okay,
Okay.
so that is very important. Don't do this 6 months course and this diploma certificates. And so we have good institutes which offer, like your SNTT है जहाँ से मैंने किया है. You have Mumbai University, you have Delhi University, Chandigarh University. There are private universities also which offer these courses. So do from a reputed. This field also requires a lot of experience,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
Clinical experience.
Right.
So they should work in a hospital, all right, in a
Okay.
clinical setup. How will you get to know the cases, the clinical cases? How the persons, you will be able to read the file. You have to decipher what medications they are taking, how those drugs are going to work in your body, and how you have to plan your diet according to that. And to read the medical prescriptions, that also
Correct.
is your job, right? So if you are coming into this field working in a hospital setup, setup or in a medical setup is very, very important, and that may require take some years perhaps, you know, to learn about the clinical nutrition, and that much time they have to give yourself. Nowadays what we have seen, the trend in the newer generation is, as soon as they finish their post graduation, they want to earn money, and they are looking at the various venues, how you will earn more money. But the thing is, unless you have experience in this field, you know, you will not be able to guide people properly, or you know, and we certainly don't want you know, people to be misguided and given the false promises, and you know, they need to be guided properly, what should be done and what should not be done, and where to stop, and what are their body requirements, and all those things we need to educate the people, your client also. That is also your job. So you have to spend a lot of time into learning about the clinical practice, or wherever you are practicing. So there the money will come once your clients start to trust you. Once you see the results and the word of mouth, the people will come to you. Social media and everything is okay, but end of the day, what you practice and how much your client trusts you, and how good you are at getting the results, and sustainable results.
Right.
Not that, you know, you are getting some fast results, and then the person, if he goes back, gets all the weight back, and he's in the same where he was started with. So that's not the point. You have to make the difference to that person's life. You have to make difference to that person's family, the spouse, the children. You know, I have seen that when one person comes to me from one family, the entire family benefits, and they follow those they may not follow the diet, but they follow the guidelines which have been given, the correction of the eating patterns that happens, and they see that everybody is getting a healthier in the family, and that kind of a difference is what you know, I feel the dietitian should be making to their clients ultimately, and then the money will come.
Wow, well said, well said. So we have some rapid fire questions for you.
Okay.
Are carbs bad, or is it a myth?
It's complete myth.
Okay.
So it depends upon which carbs, what in form which you are taking. It's a good carb. There are good carbs your body requires for energy. So don't think the carbs are bad and you have to eat only protein or a fat. You have to eat carbs even to build muscles.
One nutrition truth which people are not clearly saying properly.
One of the truth is that nutrition is it's a medicine, okay, and medicine takes time to heal, to nurture, to grow, right? So nothing is going to work fast. And if you are looking at anything, the change in your immunity, in your correction of your metabolism, or you know, even your weight, you need to give it time to it. So you know, your patience, consistency, persistence is the one which is going to pay.
Do detox diets or juice cleanses actually work?
No, they don't. They have a short life.
Okay.
But everything will come back once you stop those diets.
Is intermittent fasting effective?
Yes, it is. It is effective. Mostly where you are seeing the hormonal problems, you know, and also where you have to have the people who are unable to control their food, binge eating, intermittent fasting works for them.
Keto, is it effective or overhyped?
I feel it is overhyped. Keto, it started with the epilepsy diet for epilepsy, then it was given but you need to do it under complete medical care, the keto diet. You cannot start on your own. And again, once you stop the keto diet, weight gain is there.
Sugar or oil, what's worse?
Both.
Okay.
I mean, if you misuse both of them, they can you can have a land into problems.
Supplements or natural food?
Food is first, and if the food is not able to give you the complete cure, then the supplements are necessary. So both are required, but my first will go to food.
Cheat meals necessary or not?
There is nothing called cheat meal.
Okay.
And if you are following 80% of the time, if you are following a good diet,
Huh.
20% of the time you can enjoy your life also.
Okay.
So but you need to know, as I said, the mindful eating, what is required. That is what is required. So cheat meal, cheat day is just one of our ways of consoling ourselves that we are eating something good. But in a normal lifestyle also, you can, if the 80% of the time you are good,
Huh.
even if you indulge here and there,
It's okay.
It's okay. Your body can accommodate it.
Diet or lifestyle, what matters more?
Both. Both very important. Just following diet is not enough if the lifestyle is bad. Similarly, lifestyle is good, but the diet is over the fence, then it is not going to work. So both are very important.
One food people should reduce immediately.
I think sugar.
Sugar.
Yes, a lot of sugar in the diet in form of not only sugar, refined carbohydrates, and we are a lot of carbs in the diet, and that's what is harming more.
One habit everyone should follow daily.
Getting up early.
Okay.
I am completely into that. The most of the problems can be resolved if the people stick to the getting up early and sleeping early and having a good exercise along with that. So that will certainly help.
So thank you so much, ma'am, for taking the time and joining us today. It was a pleasure having you here.
Thank you so much. It's been really pleasure, and look forward.
Thank you. Thank you for watching this episode till the very end. If you found this episode to be valuable and insightful, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And let us know in the comment section below your takeaways from each of our episodes. Thank you.